From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another podcast, Conversations with Trent and Friends. We got a good one tonight. We got a real good one tonight. Welcome, everybody. I see you guys in there. Tonight's topic, the real you. It's okay to remove the mask. Let's be honest. Let's face it. Each night, when the lights powers off, your truth will always come on. Let's bring Coach D in here so we can talk about these masks and these mirrors, these M mirrors. 1 second. Hey. What's going on? How you doing?
Oh, Wednesday's a busy day because Xavier has a STEM class just before this one.
Oh. How's he doing? He's doing good tonight.
Oh, he's doing good. They made an art machine, fulcrums and levers. So he's happy. He's downstairs with a angry cat thing that he built.
Good stuff. Let's welcome the good folks and who's actually tuning in. We really appreciate all the support that you guys give the platform as we move and transition over to the Fire Stick TV and whatnot and what have you. Good stuff. Welcome to the conversation. So we're talking about the real you. Mm-hmm. It's okay to remove the mask. So I got to thinking, I was actually talking with a friend of mine last week. And I was thinking, I was like, wow, it's got to hurt. It's got to be painful not to be you. Mm-hmm. I've been there before. It has to be painful to completely keep that mask on and masquerade around like nothing's going on in your life. And you have the perfect life online. Mm-hmm. You constantly mask. It's gotta hurt. I've been there. You gotta hurt. Like I said in the opening, let's just be fair and honest. Each night when those lights power off, your truth will always come on. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna get down to the incompletion of it all. What's your thoughts on that? Why people mask so much?
Well, there are most of the masks we wear are. It's like we can be both positive and negative. So not all masks are negative. The majority of the time we wear them to like hide fear, anxiety, be liked and accepted. We don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to show our sadness or anger, depression, any emotions that we may have. But we also use them to manipulate by being like hyper masculine or hyper feminine. So those are masks as well. But we have we have good masks as well though. Like our customer service mask.
Gotcha.
Our job mask.
Before we dig into this topic and get into the meat potato, let's say, hey, Margita with a strong G. How you doing, lady? What's going on, Slash? I see you. Good stuff. So let's get all the way down to it. Mm-hmm. And let's just be fair. A lot of us have put on masks before. I know I have. I've done this a ton of years, putting the mask on like everything's okay. But I was actually forced to remove my mask when I had this condition, when this condition started. Mm-hmm. It's like, damn, what am I going to do now? People are going to see this paralyzed hand, this paralyzed arm. What am I going to do? I had no other choice but to take that mask on. I had no other choice. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. But you know, when you in a state of incompletion, and when I say incompletion, I'm talking about incompletion of not facing yourself. When you won't face yourself, you refuse to face yourself in an incomplete state. But to get to completion, you have to face yourself.
Right.
Truth is the truth. You got to be honest with yourself first. Go ahead.
Well, how about I go over what the most common masks are?
Go ahead.
So that people can see them. So then we have like the Zen man or woman. They're the ones by outward appearances they've seemed to have like mastered what it is to stay calm in all situations. They show no emotion. They're like the
Right.
composure of like a monk, right?
Right.
But they're not. They just build up their they bottle up their emotions. So instead of showing it, it just bottles up and eventually it snaps, right? Then we have the overachiever. They unconsciously pursue perfection as a defense against rejection. Right? The comedian. The comedy is most often usually a defense mechanism because it prevents intimacy. Like sarcasm is often rooted in pain, unless it's cultural, then that's different. So the comedian will tell a joke to keep conversation from getting too real or too deep or too close to home.
Right.
Um, then we have the people pleaser. They'll go to desperate lengths. They want to get the approval of the people around them. So their sense of identity is basically largely based on the assessment of others, right?
Right.
What they can do, and this mask, they're always seeking advice, and they have a huge issue with saying no, right? Which and it goes to another mask. Then you have the social butterfly. They're the life of the party when they're out, but then when they're home, they're lonely because they keep people at a distance and they float
Right.
from group to group to group. So there's no one like home group from them. So, when they have a lack of meaning and they don't have anybody to conversate with at home, things become superficial instead of they don't get into deep dialogues. Right?
Exactly.
Um,
So
we have the
let's talk.
introvert. Oh, there's still
Gotcha.
more.
Go ahead.
So there's the introvert. They're usually afraid of failure or rejection. I'll just summarize so it moves along. The cold control freak use power and order so they have a sense of security. The bully, they appear confident in their forceful delivery, but they're usually very insecure. The martyr, they boast about how he or she have single-handedly saved the world, like they're the saviors of everything.
Right.
But while they can bring families together, their exaggerated sacrifices usually drives loved ones away, because the ones they're closest to, they will not help. They'll help the ones further away because they get more acclaim from that.
Gotcha.
And the last one, the self basher, they will continually put themselves down because there's an insecurity and unworthiness that they need to um, project upon themselves, because they don't want other people to get too close. So if they tell other people how horrible they are, they'll keep people at a defense mechanism, a distance away.
Gotcha.
Right.
Let's
That's
walk
all.
these folks into how to actually showing these people how to actually remove the mask. Let's
Mhm.
start. I opened up while I start speaking on completion, right? But completion is connecting with life without any barriers inside of ourselves. That's the only way. That's the only way. But before we can get to
Well,
the completion, we got to talk about the incompletion. Why is it so hard for people to face themselves?
well, there's five things you need to do to remove a mask. First, you have to be aware of it. Okay. You have to recognize it. You
Right.
have have to have the realization that the mask is not who you are, and then you have to be committed to drop that mask and take action to be vulnerable and be open. And those are the five steps. You do those five steps, and you can drop the mask.
But let's be honest. Let's be honest about that. So it's kind of hard for people to pick up that inward mirror because most people, like I always preach on this show, most people love that hand mirror. They in love with the hand mirror, and the hand mirror is most of the times is that superficial mirror. That's the
Mhm.
mirror that's going to tell you everything you want to hear. Most of us, like myself, I needed a full blown mirror, a
Well, that's
full
because
blown.
yeah, most of us are comfortable, and until we get uncomfortable or something happens, humans are very predictable species. No matter how intelligent we think we are,
Right,
we will do everything we can for self-preservation. So if wearing a mask is our self-preservation mode. We will hang on to that until something kicks us out of self-preservation mode and moves us into survival mode. Then we'll change what we are doing in order to get to where we need to be again.
Right. Well, I get a little transparent with you guys. For me, the reason I was able to actually deal with myself, because most of the time I was always saying, you know what, that's their situation, that's their problem, that's their circumstances, all this, everything. I just pointing the finger the other way, pointing the finger the
Hmm.
other way, until I started dealing with myself. I was like, hey man,
Right.
all these people can't be wrong. They can't be wrong. But I refused to face myself.
Hmm.
Continue with the mask. Oh, Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect. But until I had no other choice but to see myself, that was the only way I was able to take the mask off
Yeah, none of us are perfect.
at
All
all.
of us,
But
all of us wear masks at sometimes. Even when we think we don't have any mask on, sometimes we still will put a mask up.
do tell.
Like, for instance, if I don't like somebody, what may come across as politeness is actually disassociation.
Right.
I just don't say anything. I just will be like, and just not associate with you, not say anything. You can have a complete conversation around me, and I'll be just like, okay,
Right.
and that's a mask because that's not actually who I am. I'm very I love having conversations with people, but to keep my manners intact, I will put on a mask of aloofness.
We got a couple of comments. Want to grab them?
I'm sure. One second, let me pull that screen up. So we have, hey, Marty Girl. Marty Girl says, I'm here, very sleepy though. I know I was up watching the election results all night myself.
What's going on,
Um,
Martine?
Slash says, Grand Rising Melanated people, greetings to the Princess Panel, Coach D, video coordinator Miss Charlie, and Mr. Epic.
What
And
up? What up? What up?
Margetta, with the hard G I got it this time, said, good evening, everybody. Yeah, Marty Girl says this dissociation. It's very common that people are like, yeah, I don't talk to them. I like tone them out or something. Yeah, that's a mask.
Right.
So it works. Or using your customer service voice. Like if you have to write an email to somebody who said something, and instead of saying, "Listen, blah blah blah
I mean,
blah," you don't pay attention. You
yeah,
go,
I'll be honest.
yeah,
In some cases, sometimes using a mask is a good thing, but
yeah,
when we're using that mask to mask
to
our
hide.
true selves, that's
Mhm.
where the problem comes into play.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you
follow
say?
the five follow the 5 steps: awareness, recognition, realization, commitment, and action.
How do we get to that, Coach D? How do we get to those steps? How would you walk a person into
Awareness.
awareness
So
and removing that mask?
yeah, so for awareness, 9 times out of 10, if I'm having a mask conversation with somebody, I already know what their mask is. So I would say, how does you think your mask looks to other people when you
Mm.
put it on, or if you ever take it off? Like I have a friend, a lady. She's now a friend, and I was coaching her. She literally, her husband has never seen her without makeup. She gets up 2 hours before him and does her hair and her makeup and lays back in bed.
Wait, what?
Yes, sir. So I said, well, how about we do this? I'm going to have a coaching session with you, and I'm going to have a coaching session with him. So
Right,
we had the coaching session with her. We went about her mask, and I said, why are you afraid to take your makeup off so that he doesn't see you without makeup? And she
right,
said, well,
right.
I don't think he would think I'm as pretty as I am. I'm like, ma'am, you've been married to this man for 20 years. Pretty sure it's not the makeup that's keeping him there, right?
Right.
I said,
Wow.
makeup, it makes it
That's
easier, but it
different.
doesn't. So here's the thing. I had the conversation with him, and I asked him about his masks and everything. And without even asking him about his wife, he said, I wish my wife would feel free to not wear makeup every day. And I was like, have you told her that? He's like, no. I'm like, why not? He goes, well, I'm afraid of her reaction.
All right.
I'm like, okay, we are going to have to pull this band-aid off and just do a quick call her
I mean,
up.
it's really tough, and I don't want folks to think that we're sitting, on a high judges panel judging folks. Nah, it's not like that. But it's really tough to face yourself. It's just like Coach D said. Some things have to be traumatically in place for this to take place.
Yeah. Well, we called her. I got him to call her. I told him a text and said that we were calling him. He's going to put me on speakerphone so we have a three-way conversation so we can get to the
Right.
bottom of this. So it comes to find out the reason she always wears mask is because going through school she was bullied.
Wow.
She was the only black girl in an all-white school, and from the time of kindergarten through high school, she was told she was ugly, her nose was too big, her lips were too big, and all this stuff, right? So she
Right.
wore the mask so she could feel beautiful, and like it was we were all in tears by the end of this. So he
Right. So
spoke to her. He
she
goes,
finally realized that she was
yeah,
bleeding all over her husband.
yeah, and he said, "I love you no matter what you look like. The makeup means nothing except for you take time when you could be sleeping. You don't need to put on makeup before you get up, before
Right.
I get up. I'll still love you no matter what."
And you know what I
And
take from that exchange?
what's that?
She's not a communicator.
She was
It
in
seems
trauma.
like it,
No, it's trauma. Now think about this. If you're bullied every day for the entire time you're in school, that is complex trauma. It's way
right.
more than she's not a communicator. Way, way, way deeper than that.
I got you. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
But
Look
like
like
we had a
Martine.
conversation. Yeah,
We
we
had
had
a
a
couple of
conversation. So she went to decide she needed to go to therapy. So after like I think it was a year and a half of therapy, she was able to finally go out without the makeup once the therapy um, did its job.
gotcha. What's going on, General Giant? I see you. Look like Martine's saying a couple of things there.
Let me go in there. Let me see. Lanya said hi. Hello, Lanya. How are you?
What's going on, Lanye? Lanye
Mighty Girl
blanks
said
$50.
she's adding products to the page. Good. We had a great session. We got lots of goals set up.
That's good stuff,
Mm,
man.
yeah. Mighty Girl says, because I don't want to be pop off mode all the time. People say I'm so serious. I'll be distant and not talk. Therefore, I'm looked at as stiff. That could be a mask. Yeah,
That's true.
true.
Yeah.
Alvin says, good evening, panel. Yeah, like I am a natural redhead. And I'd like to think of myself as passionate about things that I say. Now, other people
Okay.
may not find it passionate. They might
Right,
have
right,
other terms for it. And so it's I would put on a customer service voice if we're
right,
having
right,
a passionate discussion because I know that people will stop listening because depending on the demographic I can come across as the angry black woman.
right.
Unless it's like a video conference or a phone call and they only hear my voice and they only hear Canadian and they think of white woman because they don't see me. So and I use that to my advantage. I use it
Right.
always to my advantage. The phone voice works.
Does that offend you when folks think that you're a white girl?
Uh, it's the accent. I have an upper class Canadian accent, so
Right,
it doesn't offend me. I'm used to it,
right.
um, and it roots out racist really quick on the phone when people think they're like you.
Gotcha.
I've saved some business dealings from my accent because
So
I don't
let's speak on the incompletion.
think feeling incomplete.
Correct. Incompletion meaning far as connecting to yourself and the barriers that we have inside. Because there
So,
are barriers that keeps us from actually reconnecting with our true selves.
mhm. And some people are not going to like what I'm going to say next,
Go ahead
but
and say it.
I'm going to say it anyway. It goes back to when we're children because very often parents will treat their children as extensions of themselves
Right.
and not their own individuals. So kids will be told not to show emotion. They'll be any of the parents' insecurities will be passed on to the children. You have to clean the plate or
Interesting.
you're going to get fat. You're
You know,
going.
Slash is gonna say something about that.
What's
What
that?
was he saying over there?
Um, Slash says there's a lot of unbullied women putting on makeup, fake brows and lashes, fake nails and BBLs. Let's keep it at 100. Sir,
That's true.
I wear makeup when I go out. Just because you're wearing makeup, fake brows and lashes, it doesn't always have to be a mask.
Well, now D, this is where we're gonna agree to disagree on certain things.
And women aren't doing it for men all the time either. So don't let's skip that out of your head too.
I get it, but let's just be honest and fair. And my experience with women who actually do those things and
Mhm.
wear those type masks, there's an underlying issue there. If I mean, I'm talking about serious issues there. If we want to
Um,
be honest about it,
it depends on why they're doing that.
that's just like
If I'm going out for a weekend, like going to an event or something,
right.
I get gussied up, like
That's
full
just
on
like I'm gonna say
full
this.
shebangs.
I'm gonna say this, and Tay's probably gonna she's probably gonna kill me.
Hmm.
That's my daughter Taylor. Well, you know that, but
Hmm.
her and I FaceTime and all this good stuff. So she FaceTime me from work or whatever. So when I looked into the camera when I answered the phone, I was like, "So what's going on with you?" She's like, "What you mean, Daddy?" I was like, what is that, a weave?" So she was like, "No, Dad, it's a wig." So first thing was I said, "Why?" Now you know Taylor has very curly,
Hmm.
long hair, right? So I'm like, "So what's up with the?" I don't get it. I
Because it's
truly didn't
fun.
get it. So she and I had a conversation. I was like, what are you masking for? What? Why?" And she didn't understand why I was actually questioning that. That to me, why?
Because it's an
So,
accessory, sir. I have wigs that I wear because it's fun.
huh?
It's fun.
So you mean to tell me every woman in America who's wearing wigs are doing it for
No,
fun?
no, I'm not saying every woman, but I also said not every mask is hiding,
I get that.
right?
I get that. And
Sometimes,
I could agree with that.
yeah.
I could agree with that, but some of my past experience have been with women who've actually masking something because I know the real them.
Yeah, but we can't generalize all masks though. Like if
I understand that.
if I'm
You're
having a
right.
bad hair day and I have a lot of hair, it can be easier for me to just put it in a French braid and throw on a
I
wig and go
can't
where I
believe you
need to
wear
go.
a wig because I've seen
I
your hair
have.
down, D. I mean, are you
I have,
serious?
sir. It takes me 3 hours to detangle all this hair. If I have to go somewhere and I'm having a bad hair day, I don't have time for 3 hours of hair detangling.
So
I don't
where do
think
you
you
put
understand how much maintenance is involved in
like when you
here.
put a wig on? Where do you put all that hair? Like when you put, I don't get it.
I spent 18 years in the army. I can put a French braid in my hair that would minimize that bun to almost nothing. You'd be surprised how small that bun would be. But it's wigs for me. When I see people in makeup and wigs, until I hear them start talking or watch them after a couple of days, I don't naturally assume makeup equals a mask,
I got
unless
you. I
they
understand. That's
can't go
fair.
to bed without it. That's
That's
the
fair.
difference.
That's Lanya saying something here.
Oh, Lonnie said, "Hey Marty, I wear wigs sometimes. Trend, it's fun. We love playing dress up. I can spend a whole day trying on wigs and makeup, but
I'm
I like
learning something
yeah,
today, so I'm gonna have to call Tay and tell her, "Hey, Daddy, sorry. I'm sorry."
yeah."
So it is fun.
And
Okay.
slash like, oh, and fake hair and wigs, the Whitley Gilberts of the world, personality, no man, that prefer alternate accessories. Whitney Gilbert, yo, Whitley
So
Gilbert was a Southern belle, and men, and I have used this technique myself. Men will trip over themselves for a damsel in distress with her hair down
that's
and do a
true.
little hair flip. I have gone to Lowe's and have my entire car loaded by
That's
guys
true.
in the hardware aisle just for the hair flip.
That's
Like,
true. That's true.
y'all fall for that every time. That Whitley Gilbert was a character.
So let's talk about these lights powering off at each night, right?
Hmm.
I wrote that quote like years ago, and as I was actually doing this topic up, I thought about that light.
Yeah,
And as you know, you know how I write these quotes. You know, they come to me most of the time. It's a personal thing with
yeah.
me.
Hmm.
So when I wrote that quote, I mean, it had to be about 8, 9 years, maybe 10 years ago. I was actually powering the light off,
Yeah,
and I powered the light off. I'm like, damn, I'm alone.
right.
That was my truth. It's like, damn, I'm really alone.
Hmm.
Like I'm really single. That was after the divorce and all that stuff and what have you. But I had to truly face myself, and I want folks to understand when you power the light off tonight, that's your truth.
Hmm.
Live it, embrace it,
Yeah. But
embrace it.
yeah, here's the thing: masks cover a lot of um, like feelings of acceptance, but it hides any real connection.
Right.
So when you drop your mask and you're open for like to learn genuine connection with other people, it's hard if you've never been exposed to it. So it so some
Right.
people will fall back to the mask until they can like feel secure enough in themselves to actually drop it completely, because it's hard being out here and being authentic and just being you, because if
It is
people don't
tough,
like you,
but
they don't like you, like, you know.
exactly, it's tough, man. You have to have you honestly, you have to be truly confident within yourself to
Hmm.
go against the grain and walk the other way.
Yeah.
It's a totally different. You have to be at an extreme high level of yourself
Yeah.
to go completely against the grain. You have to be unapologetic for all that. Do not
Well,
apologize for who you actually are.
yeah. Well, Socrates said to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom,
Boom,
right?
boom,
So
boom.
it's all about and then the people like there's a good movie I've watched called The Shift by Wayne Dwyers.
Okay,
And like the first time you watch it, you're like, okay, that's pretty good. The second time you watch it, it's one of those every time you watch something, you pick up something new out of it.
right,
And like I tell people, never hide your light for somebody else. And that's what a lot of people do with masks. They'll hide
right.
themselves because they're afraid to shine. Like I've had a lady go, how are you able to just talk to people about what you want to talk to? I'm like, well, it
Yeah.
took a lot of
You know
work.
what's so you know what's so funny
Yeah.
with me when I finally was able to remove the mask,
Hmm.
I literally became blind first before I removed the mask.
Hmm.
I was, you know, I lost my sight.
Yeah,
I
I
was
know.
blind. So that's when I was bold enough to say, you know what, hey, they're gonna get all the Trent. So I started telling folks it's Trent 1.1.5. It's the better version of it. It's the
Hmm.
better version of Romello.
Yeah.
But I had to literally go blind to take off the mask
Oh
and
yeah.
the rose colored glasses.
Well, that's the thing. In order to when we become uncomfortable is when we make the most changes. So that's why you'll see like people have midlife crisis. They'll hit 40 and they're like, "Oh my God, what have I done with my life? Where am I going?"
Right.
They'll somebody dies. There's a death in the family, or there's a death in the family. There's a divorce, um, job loss. Something happens where people their way of living has changed dramatically, like
Right.
illness for you, and they're almost forced to adapt because
You're
what
absolutely right.
everybody think we're mammals. We just think ourselves we're a lot more intelligent than everybody else on the planet. But when it comes down to primarily, we will have to survive, and our survival instincts will force us to change things that we're doing in order to get. Oh, I just will
Exactly.
force us to change what we're doing in order to become comfortable again, because
Martine says
comfortable is a good
something.
place to be at.
Martine's saying something over
Oh,
there.
duh, duh, duh. Right, go. I wore a wig for a costume. It was okay. I didn't feel anything extra. Like I'm officially pretty, as if on any other day I'm not. And not all wigs makeup is a real cover up. They're enhancements or ways of adornment. Yeah, I go against the grain, no problem. Yeah,
Well,
like
Tay, I'm gonna publicly say this. Daddy is sorry. I
mhm,
apologize for giving you a hard time
yeah,
about the wig.
and it probably looked cute as heck too.
She's a cutie.
Yeah,
She's
see,
definitely a cutie.
ugh, sir. Some things when it comes to women, you need to just leave alone.
I should have. I should have kept my mouth closed, but
Hmm.
I still can't. I'm like, how did you get all your hair under that thing? But
Sir,
she
I've
did.
had
That's one of the words. That's one of the words she said when I said. She said, "Daddy, this is fun." I was like, "Huh?"
yeah,
But apparently,
yeah.
most of you guys think like that. So
Yeah, it's
it's
for those of us who don't use it as a mask, it's just something fun to do. Like switching, like when I wear my hair down, I get really spicy. It's just
right.
like my alternate personality comes out. It's just fun.
I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you.
Yeah. And when the economy is bad, women will buy a new lipstick before they'll do anything else. So when and I tell people all the time, watch lipstick sales. That will tell you how the economy is doing because they'll buy a lipstick before they'll buy shoes because it's cheaper.
One more time. Say that again.
Lipsticks are like an indicator of how the economy is doing. Because women, instead of if the economy is doing badly, instead of buying new shoes or a new outfit, they'll buy a new lipstick because you can change up a look quickly with a new lipstick.
Okay, I guess I wouldn't know nothing about that.
Just that's when you're just gonna go, okay, yeah,
It works. It works. But
it
let's
will.
talk about completion for a second, man. Talking about connecting your life
Hmm.
without the barriers inside yourself. Until you make that connection, nothing's gonna take place. And that's the most important connection you could ever make is with yourself. That's when you connect to others.
Yeah.
Again,
Most,
the
yeah,
most important connection you'll ever make is with yourself. And this is only when you'll connect with others.
yeah. And life is a lot easier when you're living your authentic, true self. It's a lot easier. Like it's hard getting there.
Exactly. And
It's
you
a
know what?
it's
You're
a
so
journey
right.
staying there.
You're so right. I had a conversation with my brother and we were talking about peace
Hmm.
and whatnot, right? And I was like, yeah, you know what? He's like, man, he's like, you're different. You even look different.
Hmm.
So I was like, I finally gotten to a place where I'm at peace and
Right,
life is good. Even like people from the outside who don't see me on a daily basis and they see me, working out with the medical fitness and all that stuff every day.
right.
Sometimes I get messaged, oh, I was just checking on you. I was like, for what? I'm good.
Hmm.
But they're looking at, the different ability.
Right,
But I'm like, this is the best. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. Sounds crazy to folks, but I am in the best shape I've ever been in. One, my mind is aligned with my body,
right.
and I'm truly connected to my Zen.
Hmm.
I'm in the best shape I could possibly be in right now. And most people be like, really? I was like, yeah. I'm like 190 pounds, very lean.
Hmm. Well, I think people have images of what the best shape is supposed to look like. And
Thank
I
you.
think, yeah, because society has this backwards European, Eurocentric value of beauty, what beauty is supposed to look
Thank you.
like.
Thank you.
Like, even I grew up going through school thinking that I was like, because there was very few black kids. I didn't see a black person until I was like 12. So there was very few black people around. So I
Right.
didn't understand that we look, our bodies look differently. Like
Right.
I'm like 5'8", but I have shoulders. My half sister, she is the perfect Irish lass. Like she is alabaster skin, auburn
Right. Right.
hair.
Right.
Like she is like this is what Irish looks like. So but it's interesting because she got bullied for looking that way. So as kids, it's amazing to see that there's really no one escapes it that I know
Exactly. And,
of.
and this is I'm glad you brought that up. What society thinks healthy looks like and
Hmm.
all this superficial stuff going around on the internet and online, all these social sites. And you truly don't have to mask things up, man. The most
Yeah,
beautiful things to me are the things people call flawed.
yeah, oh
I
yeah.
had to learn it over the years. I had to learn it over the years, and especially with this condition.
Hmm.
The most beautiful things that I've noticed are flawed.
Oh yeah. And like if somebody, I embrace my flaws. Like my teeth aren't perfect. I have to go because after Xavier, I have to go get implants. So I will have to
Right,
get dental surgery and have to get them all replaced because he took all the calcium out of my body. So it's and people are like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Pregnancy can be very difficult, and some people will lose their teeth from being pregnant. That's just the way it
right,
is." And like when I was in the army, I'm very muscular naturally. And I remember one we were in the sergeant's mess, and this guy's like, "Well, you got a fat ass." I'm like, "Sir, I'm not built for speed. If something happens, you want me dragging your ass out of there. She can run,
that's
but she can't carry you." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And then one of the boys jumped on my back, and he's like, "See, I'm 275 pounds, and she didn't even move." And he's like,
exactly.
"Oh, okay, I guess I get it." I'm like, "Nah, you don't get it, but whatever, man." But
They
it,
had a
it
couple of
is what it is.
comments
These
here.
are comments. Friday girl, I go against the grain. Girls just want to have fun. Some wear wigs. Always have my lips popping with a quickness. Yep, I'm a lip gloss girl myself. Uh, When you're genuine, no images to uphold, life
Pretty
smoother, your
much.
skin shines, and you look younger. And
Absolutely.
Anya says, "Hold on, Dee. I escaped being bullied. Nobody tried that. If that's what you meant." Okay. I didn't. It's not necessarily no one escaped. You may not have been bullied, but were there ever you somehow in the entire going to school never had any comment about how you looked?
Right.
Because you would be the first, ma'am. You are now a unicorn in my world. Because I've talked to hundreds of people, I've never had anyone who hasn't had a comment when they're growing up. Whether they look too perfect, they didn't look perfect enough, they were too
Yeah,
fat, they were too
kids can
this,
be
they were too
brutal,
tall.
man. Kids can be brutal. They can be very brutal.
Hmm. But it's a lot of masks come from when you're much younger, or a trauma happens to you.
Right.
Like in the army, a lot of people will hide PTSD because one, it's a career ender, and two, people think of it as a sign of weakness. So unfortunately, even though we reach out to our friends, we still have a lot of suicide, and we have a lot of hyper masculinity to hide the pain.
Let's talk about the insecure mask. How do one get past that type of mask? Truly trying to hide the scars. The inward scars are the worst. Not
Mm-hmm.
the physical scars, but to me personally, if you're insecure, that's an inward scar.
It is. It is. It's one of the worst because it holds you back in a lot of ways,
Do
and it
tell.
adds. Yeah, because if you have an insecurity, like you don't feel secure in yourself, it can move over to feeling unworthiness, feeling a lack of self-respect, and those can trigger different behaviors. Like if somebody feels a lack of self-respect, they can be very promiscuous. If somebody feels
Oh,
unworthy, they can
now
do
D, you
risky
know I'm not gonna
behavior.
let you. I can't let you go past that like that.
What's that?
Repeat that one more time. Promiscuous. Go ahead.
If somebody doesn't has a lack of self-respect, they can be promiscuous.
Yeah,
Yep. One of the most common signs of sexual abuse or rape is promiscuity.
that's true.
It's a control issue because that you didn't you there's a whole lot going into it, and I'm not going to go into that because that can get into
Right, right,
a
right.
therapy
So
thing.
you're saying the one that's being promiscuous is a control issue with that person, the one that's actually being.
No, it's usually a reaction to either a sexual trauma or abuse, rape of
I
some
got
sort.
you. I got
Yeah.
you.
So when people say somebody's promiscuous, I'm like, okay, something's going on there. What problem? What is your problem with it? Because
I
people like
got
to
you.
judge.
I got you. I get it.
People love
Continue.
judging.
Oh,
Yeah.
they got a couple
So
comments.
yeah, that's why I had stopped. What does it say? That's what you meant. Yeah, and they got these hands. Never tried it again.
I
What did you
bet you,
say
I
about
can't even
online?
see it, but that's Lanye saying. I guarantee you.
Yeah, violence never solved anything, sweetheart. That's another thing we could talk about. I remember the days.
She said they
Marty
got
Bird
these
said
hands.
people used to say you're cute to be dark skinned. Back in high school, I'm not even dark brown. Yeah, that was one of the things when I would come to the U.S. I would find really odd
Right.
because people were like, "Oh, you're a red bone." I'm like, "What the hell is that?" I'm
Exactly.
like, "Y'all are colorist as heck," and I was like,
It's funny
"I'm."
how you know what and when I used to come over and visit you, it's funny how two totally different cultures, man, and
Mhm.
we got a warped way of thinking over here.
Yeah, like we still have all the racism issues in Canada. It's not we have
It's not, but it's
no
different.
pedestal to stand on, and no moral value at all. To we have had slavery, we had segregation, we continually treat our indigenous people horrifically.
Right, right.
But
What
one
with
thing,
Martine saying something over there.
uh, I did. People used to say you're cute to be dark skinned. Yeah, I have cousins who used to get that.
To me, that's an insult, though.
It is. It is an insult. It's a backhanded compliment. It's
Yeah,
rude. Yeah.
yeah.
I remember growing up. I used to, and this is the interesting. I used to wish I was darker because everybody I knew was darker, and I burnt in the
Especially in
sun.
the winter, you're damn near pale.
Yeah, I do. I lose color quick because I'm a redhead. I have red hair. So I as soon as I'm out of the sun, that's it. The tan's gone. And
I
then
got
people are like, "What do
I
you
used
think?"
to
What?
I got a confession there. I used to actually check your to see if you're still breathing when you're asleep.
Oh well, haha. I'm
I
not
was
that
just joking.
pale.
Oh,
Jeez.
you was pale. You was seriously pale.
Yeah, like your ass wasn't. Anyway, anyhow, moving on, sir.
Moving on, moving on, moving
But
on.
yeah, it's interesting because when you talk to somebody and you start getting into their masks and you start having conversations, you start asking them, well, why do you feel like you have to say yes to everybody?
Mm.
And then you're like, then they're like, well, I don't know how to say no. I'm like, well, why don't you know how to say no? And they're like, well, my mother always did everything for everybody else. I'm
So
like,
which
well,
mass is that?
hmm?
Which mass is that?
The people pleaser.
Gotcha.
They always got to say, they got to say everything. And then you have the martyr who's like the knight in shining armor or the superhero. They have to come in and save the day all the time. But
Gotcha.
they would never ask anybody to help them. Right? And there's
You know
different
what?
things that happen in different people's backgrounds that cause
Yeah,
people
that's
to do these things. Yeah.
just
But
by the different mass that you were talking about got me to thinking about like there's some negative things to the mask when you're covering up to hide things,
mhm.
but sometimes having a mask is much needed in certain situations.
It can be. Sometimes a mask can be a safety that will keep you safe. So it that's why I said masks can be good and there can be bad, right?
Right.
So we all have the good masks, like the uh, customer service voice, the professional at work, blah blah blah. You know, just ones that get us to our jobs and all that stuff. Um, and like our good little church people when we go to church and we're all polite and say hello to everybody even though we don't like them and all that stuff. Those
Yeah.
are all masks too, all
Yeah,
masks.
that's a mask, but that's I hate the fake mask. I hate that. I
Well,
do
that's
not like
you know who it is because you get the church side hug. You know the church side hug. There's like and just get the like the taps. You don't get a real hug.
yeah, they really don't mean it. Like I
Yeah,
really don't want to touch you, but I'm touching you.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know who those are people. Are. So it's it is life. And until we actually are aware of what our masks are, we can't you can't recognize what you don't know. It's a blind spot.
That's
Right? Like
true.
you're driving your car, you can't see what's coming up in that one spot.
Exactly.
You have to wait until it's open and in vision.
Right. But the most important again, and I'll continue to stress this. The best way to get that mask off is connecting with yourself.
Mm. There is a book. Let me. I'll keep talking. I'll look it up in my list.
So yeah, so we're talking about connecting with yourself. That's the most important thing. And most folks fail miserably doing that, connecting with yourself. I failed a ton of times attempting to connect with myself until things got brutal for me. So I mean, it appeared like I had the perfect life, perfect wife, perfect everything. Seventh hole of a golf, still living off the seventh hole of a golf course over in Michigan. Everything it was perfect.
Hmm.
I was dying inside because I wore that mask for a number of years, but I couldn't remove that until things got tragic for me. Lost my mother, lost my brother. It got real for me. I had to face myself at that point. But
Hmm.
hopefully for some folks who's wearing masks, it don't get drastic like that to the point to where they find themselves in. Hopefully, I went through it, so a lot of folks will have to go through it. But yeah, it's a tough spot to be in. Real talk.
So there are a few books about hiding behind the mask. The problem is, and I don't recommend them because um, they're religious, and I deal with a lot of people who don't from many different religions. So I try to avoid anything that is one religion specific.
It's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, but there are. Let me. I can give you to them if you can. If you're able to do it without the religious things, It's a good book. So one is called "Stop Hiding Behind the Mask and Breaking Generational Curses," and I will put it in the comments. I can hear. Let's see if he'll let me comment. Oh, it is a good book, so it depends on. Oh, it won't let me comment. Oh,
It wouldn't let you in.
nope. I would have to log in. I'm not logged in.
Yeah. Send it to
Right.
me. I'll
What?
send it out.
Yeah, I'll put it. I'll put it in the on the page.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'll see if I can track. I may have one on my bookshelf that is non-religious because I know I have one there somewhere. Because it is okay to not be okay.
Definitely so.
Yeah.
Definitely so.
And it's like,
But why do you think most people, and I'm guilty of this as well, want to mask that everything's okay?
it's easy.
Easy to avoid.
It's easy to avoid the deep conversations.
Gotcha.
Like you can put on the mask. Like even when I was at my weakest, everybody like, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm fabulous. Everything's just great." Because it's easier to do that than to put yourself out there and tell somebody, and then face the possibility that they may just go, whatever.
Yeah,
And
honestly, for me, it wasn't easy to. It wasn't about avoiding the conversation. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to ask for the help. It was a pride
mm-hmm,
thing for me.
mm-hmm,
It was a serious pride thing for me. So I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Knowing I was dying inside.
yeah, people, it's hard being your true authentic self. Like
Yeah,
it's because you leave yourself open,
absolutely.
and like a lot
But
of
I
people, a
mean,
lot.
again, man, and I don't recommend this to no one who doesn't have the tools to get over certain things. Because once you start opening yourself up to yourself, it's a whole different beast. It's a whole different experience, a whole different ton of emotions. So I recommend, meditation. It worked for me.
Mhm.
Than dealing with myself and that self talk and all that good stuff. But it's a whole different beast, man. When you open yourself up,
Yeah,
you leave
and
yourself vulnerable to a lot of past wounds that
mhm.
you could actually recut yourself and open up if you don't have the tools to deal with yourself. When you say
and
D,
yeah, and I tell people if you're going to start working on yourself, make sure you get therapy.
yeah,
Because if you don't get therapy and you hit a wall of emotion or trauma, you'll be curled
exactly.
up in the corner in a fetal position and you won't be able to do anything, and you're going to need somebody to be able to pull you out of that hole.
And I don't want folks to go, to leave here thinking that I did all this self work on myself. No, I didn't. I had a Dr. Stan before I even started to work on myself. So I had a Dr. Stan for years before I started doing that self work on myself.
Yeah.
So I
Marty
was
Girl
able
says
to
I
actually go
yeah.
ahead.
Marty Girl says I love tanning. It's not easy to open up to others. It may backfire and people will talk crap and change on you. Yeah. I have when I stopped wearing my mask, I have lost a lot of friends because people are like, "Well,
Join
you're
the
a little
club.
too real for me." I'm like, "Okay, well, all right."
Join the
But
club.
yeah, it's
Yeah. And
your
most time, man,
can cause
most
other
time
people
when you
to.
lose friends like that, they're just not where you are. That's
Hmm.
all. They're not where you are. And most times, in most cases, I recommend that you leave them right there.
Hmm. Very often, the trash will take themselves out. I say.
Exactly.
Slash says, at some point, you decide it's time to let your true identity become visible. Perhaps you tried to hide your age by coloring hair, plastic surgery, using makeup, concealers, and wearing certain clothes. Well, you can never. Our hands always tell our age. People don't realize it.
Really?
Yeah, if you
Not
want to
my
know how
look at my hands, not mine.
the back of your hand, sir. Your back of your hand will tell your age.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
because if you look at somebody who's younger, the skin is nice and taut. As we get older, then you get wrinkly around the knuckles. It's not quite as taut and perfect anymore. Because people will tell me they're like, if you didn't have gray hair, you wouldn't look your age. I'm like, yeah, but you know, my hair is going white and blonde and all kinds of other colors. It would be a headache to try to dye it.
Marty girl says, what's she saying on there?
She said, "Yeah, when I stopped being passive, lots of people disappeared." It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you are living your authentic self, it causes, I call it the hangers on, to fall off, and then the people who are
Exactly.
there to support you will stay.
It takes honestly, it takes a ton of growth to throw those friendships away. It takes a ton of growth to throw. If
Mhm.
they're not there, and you're gonna know if you're at the higher level of yourself, you're gonna know that they don't belong in your space.
Yeah,
You're gonna know.
yeah.
It takes a ton of growth to actually throw them away
Oh yeah.
completely.
I do a lot of social justice activism, and you want to talk about finding out who your friends are. Oh, I dropped one
Right.
girl. We've been friends for 20 years, and I blocked her. Another friend's like, "Why'd you block her?" I'm like, "She was anti-Islamic.
Right.
Sorry, that I don't have friends like that.
Right.
If you're anti-immigrant, I'm not talking to you. My stepdad's an immigrant. I'm an immigrant technically, even though my father's from here. And
Right.
it's I don't deal with that. So I will drop you in a handsack if I think you're somebody who is not beneficial to my way of life and how I live.
Right. Hey, that's what it is. People have to respect that.
Yeah, and Marty Girl said, "Oh, the hands will show and prove how aged you are. I don't know why folks even front." Yeah,
Exactly.
your hands will, because there's no hand tucks or anything. Like you can wear gloves like Dolly Parton does, but it doesn't show anything else. Everything else, like I think, what is it? Soy lotion helps keep your
Yeah,
hands
but I
younger. But
I don't recommend soy though. I don't recommend soy
well,
at all.
that's what I was gonna say, because soy affects your hormone levels.
Yeah.
So there's like, but you know what? Until they have a finger tuck, then our hands will give each other away all the time.
Right. Right. Right.
So,
But getting to unmasking yourself, man.
mhm.
You have to. I'm speaking to the viewers at this point. You have to honestly. It's got to be self talk with yourself and honest talk.
Yeah.
More than self talk, it has to be honest talk with yourself. What you see in that mirror, that's exactly what it is. When those lights power off, that truth comes on, that's exactly what it is. When my lights powered off, I was partially paralyzed. I was actually literally blind. I had to give myself truth. This is the condition. This is what I'm in. This is what I have to work with. I adjust and I adapt to the environment.
Hmm.
Adjusting and
So,
adapting to your environment is nothing wrong with that at all. You get through a whole bunch of terrain by adjusting and adapting to your environment. What I mean by your environment, like Lion, I always talking about different ability. We don't call what's all going on with me. It's not a disability. It's a different ability. I
hmm.
just do things different. I adapt and I adjust to my environment. That's how the mask came off of me. Adapt and adjust.
Right. And um, there's a lot of free courses online that you could look for. Um, like I know Hay House, usually around Christmas they do like a free mirror work course, they call it.
Right.
Um, and it's like 3 weeks long, where you have to do different tasks every week, and they usually do it like post Black Friday, like because everybody in the new year is getting ready for the resolutions and all that stuff.
Right. 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 What line you say? That's right. Different ability.
Um, Slash said Dawn and Palm Olive. Marty Girl said I'm proud, aging gracefully, enjoying my salt and pepper hair. And the audience said right, different ability. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good
It's
stuff.
You know,
So
math.
let's talk a little bit about what you just mentioned, because you always telling folks, hey, if you're not ready for it, don't do it. So
Mhm.
you're saying there's actual courses with these mirrors,
Hay House has a course called Mirror Work. I did it a few years ago. Let me pull up their website real quick, um, because they do a lot of free courses, and William Dyer's movie should be on there.
right?
Here it
Again,
is.
folks, we always say, as we always say on the conversation, if you're not ready for it, don't dive in. Work your way up to it.
Let's
There's
see
nothing
here.
wrong with working your way up to it, right, Coach?
No, please work your way up to it. So they have this is a course I did. It's called Loving Yourself Online Video 21 Days to Improve Self Esteem Mirror Work course with Louise Hayes and friends. So they have, pull it up here. So, loving yourself, your mirror is your friend, monitoring your self talk, letting go of your past, building your self esteem, releasing your inner critic, loving yourself, loving your inner child, loving your body, feeling good, overcoming your fears. So they go through like every day. There's a different
Exactly.
topic,
That's good stuff.
and it. I say for if you're like just going into it, it is a good beginner course. Let's see. So right now it's $89. Wait for it because I know they do a free one. Just sign up for their mailing list because they do a free course and the free course is just as good.
But
But
and
yeah.
like I'm telling Tammy all the time, um, as far as investing in yourself, like she does the assessments, for folks
Mhm,
and all that. She's always giving her assessments away. These assessments are very expensive. I was like, man, sometimes these people gotta invest in themselves.
mhm.
If they truly want the help, they're gonna invest in themselves. Take that
Well,
plunge, bet on yourself at some point.
statistically, people will actually do the work if they have to pay for it. But I always give people the option because not everybody can always afford to it,
I
and there's
got
always
you.
going to be somebody who can't afford that would appreciate the free option. But
I
yeah,
got
it like um and I will tell people if you put the work into yourself, it will come back
you. Exactly. It'll always
tenfold.
come back.
Yeah.
It'll always come back. Like Tammy do
Mm-hmm.
these assessments. They're like $79.
Mm-hmm.
So Tammy's always moved to give it away.
Mm-hmm.
So after a while, I was like, Tammy, hold on a second. Wait a minute, man. We found that most of the stuff that she was giving away, they wouldn't even follow up on the assessment
Yeah.
because they don't appreciate it because it's free.
Mm-hmm.
But
It
if they
costs
have to
money.
pay for if they have to pay for that assessment, they'll be calling back to follow up.
Yeah. That's like the course I was talking about, positive intelligence. That's a good book for people to start with
Right,
because it makes you take a look at the saboteurs in your life. Like they do an assessment on what are the things that are holding you back.
right. So we'll you get let's get to the teachable moment real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit.
Mhm.
Teachable moment for me is I didn't realize that there were positive masks and wearing a mask.
Mhm.
Honestly, so I did learn that, and I did learn that some women actually wear wigs, like my daughter, for fun. So
Mhm.
tell you again, I apologize, Daddy. Love you.
So yeah, and so my teachable moment is when you become aware of your mask, and the awareness is the key. Once you become aware of it, you can start looking at reassessing and recognizing and working on what you need to do in order to drop the mask so you can live your authentic, free self.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'd like to take the time to thank the folks who actually continue to support the platform. We're actually independently on our own as far as the platform goes, and some good stuff, man. Doing some good stuff over there, and we're gonna be doing documentaries. Of course, the documentary on Romello, the recovery, and all that good stuff. There'll be a documentary on everything that's going on with me, everything I've gone through. I have over 10,000, almost 11,000 videos and
Oh, wow.
photos over the course of this recovery to continue to go on. It's a continual thing. And I'll be sharing that, sharing my story, sharing the story from Nan and Greg and the past and how that changed my life. Be a documentary. Also, there'll be the Four Horsemen actually short film that's actually gonna be written. Actually, they're gonna take the screenwriting from the
Oh,
book.
nice.
Yeah, so it's gonna be my mother's story needs to be told. So
Mhm.
working with the screenwriter now, and that short film will be on the platform as well for folks to actually get it along with the documentary, all that stuff, and along with D stuff. D
Mhm.
got some good meditation stuff. D sent me some meditation stuff that she's actually gonna put up on a platform.
Mm.
I found myself meditating and going into my zen. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be working here.
Mhm.
But it was
Yeah.
real good stuff, man. You guys will have some great stuff, some great content from D as well.
Oh,
Real
and
good
eyelash
stuff.
in my eye. Mm.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I said I have an eyelash in my eye. Just the last couple of two comments from Marty Girl.
Go ahead.
I've been accepting my body more than ever before, and she says she's thankful for the podcast.
Absolutely. Hey, I really appreciate that, Martin. Really appreciate that. Oh, and that's a topic for Sunday. We're gonna jump into on Sunday. It came in from a viewer, and
Oh,
we
what's that?
talked about this is a good one. It's a real good one.
Oh
One
Lord,
sec.
are we gonna cause trouble again?
It's gonna be a little trouble, and I'll read it in detail. The message
Okay.
came in. It says, "I see you've been playing it safe with topics lately. It's 2022 and 23, going into 23. What would a black household look like if men were the stay-at-home dads?"
It would look the same.
Do you think so?
Yeah, it's just a role reversal.
Okay.
I know some black stay-at-home dads. I don't know why y'all think this is.
And he also says, he said, after all, women claim to be the breadwinners. Let's talk an alternative black existence. Hey, I'm just saying what the viewer
Are
said.
we are people on some Kevin Samuel stuff again? Because oh god.
So you think this is what Kevin Samuel thing is? But nah, I mean that's honestly that would be a great conversation. What would the family look like if the dad was a stay at home dad?
Did we miss the whole conversation we had about homosexuals where the men didn't have any jobs and just stayed at the house? It's been done,
D
sir.
D
It's been done. Y'all act like this is new.
D stop it. Stop. All hate mail goes to dlayler@gmail.com.
Love to have the hate mail. Bring it on.
Good
I'll
stuff.
tell you about yourself.
So we're gonna indulge in that topic on
Oh
Sunday
goodness.
because I know you're
Is,
gonna
is
come,
Shan coming?
huh?
Is Shan gonna be here?
She should be, but knowing
Okay.
Shannon, who knows?
All right.
But you know me. Earlier today I said some things.
Alternative mail. Oh God.
Earlier today I said some things, and she probably a little perturbed with
Oh.
me right now.
What
She'll
did
be
you
all right.
do?
You know me. I'm always put my foot in my mouth.
Oh Lord.
She'll
Yeah,
be
we can talk about this. I swear to God, if one person brings up the term alpha male one more time, I will tell them about themselves. I will go through the entire study of alpha males and how the chickens are actually the alpha male.
hey, maybe we should we should open
Oh,
that can of worms so you can actually.
open it. It's going to be opened up because there's no way you can open how you can have that conversation because it's all about people think that society should look one specific way, but in 2022, that's not how the world looks. There are
Gotcha.
stay-at-home dads. There are stay-at-home moms.
There are.
It is what it is.
But honestly, I'm dying to have that type of conversation.
Oh.
To as far as for my part, for what I'm thinking about when I was reading it as it came
Mhm.
in, I'm like, wow, what would it be like if? And I'm talking about these kids who are jacked up, these kids who are running rampant in the streets and doing all this crime and They're at home with the single mother and all of this
Kids,
stuff.
kids have been running rampant in the streets since kids were born.
Yeah, true, but it's kind of out of hand now.
Well, let
It's
me
out.
tell you something. No, it's not about the kids. It's about American society. American society was built on genocide and violence and continues to go that way.
Exactly. So
So
I
we're
think
going to
that's
have that
gonna.
conversation. We're going to have a historical conversation on
I
the
think.
history
I
of the
think.
United States.
I think that conversation on Sunday is going to open up a whole bunch of
Oh yeah,
windows.
yeah.
Some.
Y'all aren't going to like me anymore. You will not
What are
like
you
me at
talking
all.
about? That's Martine and actually slash. You guys get the
Um,
last comments.
let me. I'll. There's a few comments here. Do. Slash asked if I was able, if me and Marty girl were able to get together. We did. We had a great session. Marty goes, whoa, thank you about that alpha male mess. And we need to move past the redundant stuff. Yeah, I think the alpha male is redundant. We can talk about society's view on what a family should look like and what families actually look like.
We could break it down. We could
Yeah.
definitely break it down. But
Because
to go back to what you actually did for Marty girl, man. Truly appreciate that. Truly appreciate that you would actually, give up your services like that. It's much appreciated, and I'm glad she connected with you.
yeah, she's a regular viewer, so I don't do it all the time. But sometimes I felt like the universe tells me I need to do something, so we did. So we had a good time.
Slash addressing you directly.
So oh no, yeah, Slash said that, and Marty said the session was bomb. Yes, Mark. Yeah. So, but yeah, I will touch base with her again on the 12th on Sunday at 6 p.m.
That's good stuff.
So she'll be expecting my text. But yeah, it is. Yeah, let's. How about this? How about instead of we talking about stay-at-home dads, how about we talk about societal expectations of family and what families are really doing?
That's interesting. That's interesting. We could do
Oh,
that.
she had a sale today. Congratulations! She had a sale.
What's she saying now?
She had a sale today.
Ah, good stuff, man. Good
What,
stuff.
mind
Good
if I
stuff.
tell you what we're talking about so they're not out of the loop?
One more
Yeah.
time.
So we set some goals, and one of her goals was to get her martygirl.com shop up so that she could
Is
get
that
some
right?
coming in. So she has her shop up, and she said she made a sale today. So
You know what?
yeah,
I think I'm gonna go over there and send me the link. Put the link in the group, and I'm gonna grab a couple of things from over there, Marty.
did
Good
you?
stuff. So
She
so
said
she's
yes.
she's
Tell
got
her.
it up,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. We'll put the link in the group. She's got some stuff. I have to go shopping on the weekend, so I will take a gander.
That's good. So she did open the store.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
She's been working on that for quite some time, man. Proud of you, man.
Listen, if you tell
That's
me you're
good
going to
stuff.
do something, the first question I'm going to ask is by when, and then we'll figure out what by when means. So it meant by
Exactly.
Sunday.
That's
He
good
said
stuff,
he
man.
texted you the link, Trent.
Good stuff. Got it. Good stuff.
But yeah, let us talk about society's version of what family should look like.
But we got it. We could do that. We definitely could do that. But we'll
Mhm.
add a little bit of this in it as well from the
Oh yeah,
viewers. So
oh
just
yeah.
to,
Ooh,
yeah.
so
But that's
I am so ready for this conversation.
I
So
know you
ready.
are. I know
Mm-hmm.
you are. But good
Yep.
stuff for folks. We really appreciate the support. We really do, and all that good stuff as far as the subscriptions and this stuff is pretty good, man. It's happening. Everything I
Mm-hmm.
talked about when I was still in that wheelchair, I spoke about with Tammy. Everything is this is happening. Good
Yep.
stuff, man. Roku stick, Fire TV, Apple TV, all that good stuff. The conversation is live. It's not
It's
going
going to be
anywhere. So good
fabulous.
stuff.
You'll have Trent will have his page. I'll have my page, so you can answer me questions directly, and
Yep.
all kinds of great stuff going on. My meditations will be up there, and
And folks, let me tell you that those meditations, I'm telling you, when she was sending them to me, I started messing around with them while I was working. I was like, man, let me stop this.
mm-hmm.
I was going in a whole different area, but it's some real good stuff, man. Some real good content. And again, Dee, I can't thank you enough for contributing to the
No problem.
platform and the knowledge that you bring to the platform. It means a lot. It means a ton to me. I really appreciate that.
Not a problem. But it is 10 minutes after. I have a third grader who needs to get to bed because he will drag it out until he can no longer keep those eyes awake. So I need to get going.
Good stuff. Until Sunday, folks. We'll be back with an epic conversation and we'll get it on in. So until next Sunday, this Sunday rather, you guys be epic.
Yep. Good night. Love you all.
Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedy Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.